and the word. I would love to welcome you to our third season of our Liberland in Georgia podcast. This is the episode number 2. We resumed talking about interesting business people and entrepreneurs who bring Georgia, the country, to the international level. And I'm super glad to welcome here Valerian Gegidze today.
Hey.
Thank you so much for coming. Valerian is involved in the, he surely is one of the people who bring Georgia to the international level. He's mainly focused on not only Georgia and Caucasus region, but you can also meet him in Germany. You are doing a lot of things for the international world. What would you specify as like some core services? Because you were one of those people who talk about Georgia abroad.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure. At some point in my career, I realized that we should position Georgia as a brand internationally. And there's a lot of things, nice ones, which you can communicate to the world, which they do not know about Georgia, besides having great resorts and wine. So a lot of talents, a lot of opportunities for businesses to optimize taxes and also have a good living here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I already know, but how was your journey as a Georgian coming to Germany and starting saying in Germany, hey, Georgia makes sense? Okay.
That's a good question. To be honest, it sucked a lot in the beginning. It was really tough. In Georgia, I was doing sales for my company when we started in 2017. And it was really easy because you have the network, and Georgia is a small country, it's 3.5 million people, and you basically can knock any door and everybody can, start negotiation with anyone. But then you go to Germany and to probably any other country in Europe, and you are literally nobody. And it doesn't mean what you have done, what companies you worked with, who you know in Georgia. It's a new country. Different language, different culture, so you start from zero, from scratch. And, this feeling of restarting your whole career, it actually makes you stronger, if you want, of course, right? Because we had a goal, we wanted to grow, and then we started to talk to everyone, like literally every single day, going to meetups, talking to entrepreneurs, engineers, all the people in the industry. And after 2 years, we had some network, we had a presence, and we restarted everything with a new page, rebranded ourselves, and we positioned ourselves as a Georgian company delivering the best services and products from Georgia to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are the particular needs you found in Europe or mainly the DACH region?
Well, initially it was hard to understand what we could offer because basically the competition is really high. So then you need to decide what is your competitive advantage. Is it quality? Is it a variety of the services or one specific niche or money? And money is not the best choice. So we try to focus on a quality and one specific niche in development. But then, time passed by and we were talking to our clients, and the aha moment was before COVID, when we realized that the best thing as a subscription-based model would be to provide Georgian talents, let's say marketing experts, to German startups, which they lacked a lot, and it took a lot of time. And then, when we started to do the setup, the COVID hit the world, and we were ready to catch the wave. Initially, if you remember, the whole world stood still, like all the projects stopped and nobody had a revenue. And what people did, they started to optimize their costs. And the highest cost in every company is human capital, right? So it just started there in 2021. And now here we are with more than 300 people all over the world, rocking in the Caucasus and supporting startups. Yep.
Really nice. Yeah, I would say that everything indeed stopped beside IT.
Yeah.
And I would say the huge part of your talent pool from Georgia is the IT world. And in one of the previous podcast episodes, I was mentioning with Mikhail de Tbilisi that there was certain the knowledge gap.
Yeah.
in a way that like young people were moving or used to be moving to Europe to act, because despite they were specialized, so they didn't have a company where they could work and where they could utilize this talent. So I think that one of the ways you're actually shaping the market, because now like people can stay in Georgia while they can work for the Western companies. Would you say like, or what would you say that changed in the education here over the past year or two?
Yeah, I think that on the market in the industry in Georgia specifically, a lot changed, because Georgians by culture, they adapt quite fast to they monitor what's going on well, and when they see that there's something good and they can earn money and be sustainable, we tend to go there. And when we started in 2021, if you compare it to what was going on there and now, it's totally different scene, because at that point people were not used to work with international companies. Yes, there were some BPOs in Georgia, but it was like for maybe few hundred people. And then what we learned was that we need to tell people how to work, how to communicate with the cultures, because let's say the German work culture is different and Georgian is different, right? It's emotional, it's more a little bit chaotic and more passionate, whereas the German is more structured and like it's from A to Z. So step by step we spread this information and the opportunities, and people liked it, and we got a lot of requests. And currently probably in our talent pool we have profiles of more than maybe 50,000 people, and it means that people are looking for those opportunities, and people don't really want to leave their communities, their homeland, their cities, and it's better if they can work from their home in international companies and just do a good living here.
Yeah, I see. And what, based on the Georgian character, or because you don't only hire from Georgia, but also you have the supportive region, the region is quite bigger. Right. So like there are some new talents also from Armenia or Azerbaijan or from some other countries where you are spread. So, but from the region here, what would you say is the best quality, like based maybe on the feedback of the clients, like the best positions to hire from here?
That's a good question. I would say I would initially look into the IT, mostly engineering for software, like the front end and back end. We have a lot of data science people, really good ones, because in Georgia, banking, like finance and fintech is really developed. That's why we have a lot of data science people. I would say also a lot of Scrum Masters and project managers, and also UX UI design. So in IT field, I would say that these are key roles that we provide. And then in terms of volume, which I see in bigger companies that they're looking here is more operational roles, like customer support, sales, operations managers, because in Georgia, majority of people speak fluent English.
That's
and
right.
Then we also have around 5 to 7% officially that speaks German, and other European languages, let's say some Italian, French, Spanish, not many, but still. So it gives a good opportunity for any European company to tap into the talent pool with different skill set and language skills. So I think that's what attracts people and companies from Europe.
Yeah, I would, or what I see myself is that because Georgia is not this big, so people really aim, especially young people, aim to get this international perspective, and they aim to learn from abroad. There are many private companies who come here and who provide additional education because they see a big opportunity here for the talents as well. So I know that Binance invested into some 5,000 seats for the blockchain related positions or education. This is a lot of people actually. And there are some other companies who collaborate with the universities. So I think this is also very favorable. And indeed, young Georgian, they speak different languages, and they often come to Erasmus to Europe. So I think this is really a great opportunity to hire from here. And nice. Okay, so I'm a European company. I come and I hire from Georgia. I think also Georgians have a more European mindset.
That's right.
This is, I think, very important. And sorry, you mentioned the differences of the mindsets as well. Like, what are there some other specifics of the, let's say, like work-related specific of like when you hire a Georgian, what you should know?
I think there are a lot of positive stuff you should know, because when you hire a Georgian, you don't hire an employee, you hire a team member, because when they choose you, they perceive themselves as a part of the company, as a whole team member. It doesn't mean if they have a shares or not. It's just their dedication, loyalty is very high. And Georgians love to exchange information, to communicate their ideas, which means that if you're open to this, then you'll get a recommendator, a person who really cares about the development of the company. And then, internal culture is always positive. So it's not like, you spend months in the company, just don't talk to your other guy. Even if you work remotely, Georgians will reach out and ask, how are you doing?
Yeah.
If you have a sister or a brother, how was your weekend or something like this? And maybe even have a, remote wine tasting. So that's what we see, what happens, because the loyalty is that high that we have cases people staying more than 3 years in the same company. And they fell in love, they try to develop it as much as possible. And if you compare it to other countries, I would say this is the main difference. The loyalty, the motivation. So that's more, that comes probably from our culture, the hospitality. So when you came to Georgia for the first time, I believe that every Georgian was asking you to try Georgian wine, inviting to home, and telling a lot of stuff about Georgia. So the same translates into the work.
That's a really good point. I would say that in general, like when you study in Europe, then you sort of think rather in the same pattern of like being under the authority. So people think rather of joining a corporate. While in Georgia, I would say that they have more this like bottom-up approach of like, how can I help other people and provide value to other people? And indeed, like people are, I wouldn't say that you get like a company member, but I would say you get like family on demand member.
Yeah, it can be.
Because it's exactly like how many sisters do you have, and what's the name of your cat? Like it's like very important thing here. So and you should really come for a visit and so on. So yeah, indeed, like it's very familiar. Okay. I'm a European company. I hire from Georgia to optimize the costs and to get some new cultural optimistic mix into my company. And you mentioned tax optimization. I mean,
legal way, of course, right?
Of course. Is there something else like how European companies can benefit? Like, shall they open a branch here in the country, or what they should do? What they can do to benefit?
Well, it depends on their long-term goals, of course, but what we see, according to our experience, is that they want to do it step by step. So mostly they start with the remote team members. And the first what they get is quite a big difference in salaries. So let's say if an engineer in Europe on average will cost them starting 60K a year, they will hire 2 or 3 people, the same quality in Georgia. So compared to taxes in Europe, on average, it's going to be around 45% what they pay, like all the taxes, pension contributions, so on. In Georgia, it's super easy. You pay 24%, 4% is pension contribution, and 20% is income tax. So quite easy and 2 times less. And also the wages are, compared to Europe, quite low and affordable. Then if you want to open a company, there's a lot of tax benefits depending what you are doing, but especially for IT. So if you work on international market and you are incorporated in Georgia, then you can get a tax benefit of paying only 5% of income tax, which is probably a tax haven for any company. So you don't need to do a lot of stuff compared to Cyprus or Emirates or other stuff. You can do it actually remotely, and it won't cost you a fortune. yeah, I mean, depending who you work with, from, I know, 1,000, maybe up to 2,000 euros to do it on a remote basis. And you just need 1 hour to open a company and below 100 USD if you are here. So that leads us to the point that Georgia is number 7 ranking by ease of doing business, right?
Yeah.
So besides that, there are also tax exemptions like a virtual company status, and the previous one is called the international company status, right? And we have probably the best offerings for freelancers, and not many people know it because you just pay 1%. It's not 0, but it's only 1.
Yeah. I know very well.
I mean,
it's really working.
Yeah, it's like, sounds too good to be true, but it's super easy. And all the people who are somehow related to digital, and not only, but like mostly this is for digital industry workers, you just come here and you just register and you pay 1% from total revenue, and that's it. I mean, you don't need an accountant or anything. You can do it by yourself, one time a month, and that's it. So I think it makes kind of a tax heaven, also in combination with the beautiful city and the country and resorts, food, wine, people. I mean, whatever you like, is it skiing or swimming or music or I don't know, it doesn't matter. I mean, you have everything.
I signed it. He's right. This is what made me here. Right? I think that what is the funniest thing is that people come and they're like, "Oh, I'm staying just for 2 weeks, and I don't have the ticket back." And I'm like, "Okay, how long you've been here?" And they're like, 5 years. I'm like, "What?" Yeah, I might be going back home for the next Christmas.
So many times. A friend of mine recently from Estonia, one of cool IT companies, visited me for 2 weeks, and as he left, like while he was traveling back, he bought ticket back to Georgia. I was like, what's going on? But I'm really happy. As being Georgian, I'm genuinely happy because in my childhood, we didn't have that much tourists. And when you saw a tourist, it was like, oh, this person decided to come to Georgia. And that was, wow. And now you go out and this whole district's, inhabited by foreigners.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy.
Yeah.
So I hope it will go this way.
Yeah, this is really nice. You mentioned opening the company here. It's really flawless. It's really easy. Not only Georgia is like one of the freest countries when it comes to making business or the ease of making business, but it also is one of the countries with the lowest taxation in the world. Yeah. So
I'm interested.
We are waiting here. But I think that what is very fascinating is also the opportunity to actually help, hand over all of this to get done remotely, and so you help your clients with that as well. And so you don't have to be in the country even, which is it's incredible,
So it's wonderful. Yeah,
it's a very low bureaucratic country, and when you're a foreigner, you live here, we still talk with other foreigners who are like, we go to the governmental office. It's fun because we don't do it for most things. You just don't have to do it. It's fully digital.
That's right.
And I wanted to get back to just when you mentioned the low tax for the employees here. What are some social related stuff related to hiring from here? Like when you get an employee on the full-time contract. So when it comes to holidays and so on, so how does it work here?
Okay. Well, it's a little bit different from the European one, but overall it's super easy. So according to Georgian labor code, you have test period from 3 up to 6 months where you can terminate agreement at any time. And after that, you can terminate just with a notice period of 30 days or the same day, but you pay up to 2 months.
Okay.
So compared to Germany, it's super easy because then it's just impossible to terminate agreements, right? And then in terms of taxes, as I mentioned, you pay pension contribution of 4% and income tax 20%. That's it. You are, as a company, as the employer, you are not obliged to provide any benefits, including a health insurance, because Georgians, if they don't have a private health insurance, the government is taking care of this. So, and it's I mean, if you provide, it doesn't cost anything like in Europe. So you pay like 20 to maybe 40 euros per month for really nice health insurance package. Then, you know, depending what you do, Georgians expect something different because it's more about the culture, right? Maybe it can be a gym membership or hardware or office space for socializing. So it differs all the time. Are
there mandatory holidays?
Well, we have, if I'm not mistaken, up to, maybe I'm wrong, 16 to 17 national holidays during a year.
But I meant like holidays from work, like mandatory as a benefit. Is it mandatory?
It's not mandatory.
Okay.
You can negotiate. So the way we do as Georgian national holidays are not the similar as in Europe, right? Even the Christmas, we have a different time, right? It's always about how you agree with your employee. They can choose not to work, but you can offer something. Let's say what we usually do is we pay 20% more for the specific day, and everybody's super happy to work on those days.
Yeah.
Right? And what we have is vacation is 24 calendar days during a year, but it can't be transferred from the current year to the next one if you do not agree on this. So that's quite easy. So they cannot collect and then go out for a vacation for 3 months, right? And then you have sick days where you have 42 consecutive days. So this one is different from Europe, and mostly people ask a lot of questions related to it. So according to Georgian insurance, they do not cover a company for the sick days of employees. But the way it happens is if somebody goes for has a sick leave, then you can ask for proof by a doctor, and if they do not provide, then it's easy. But in my experience, we never had anyone taking more than a week, because I mean Georgians are not that kind of people. So, well, at least in our industry. So that's probably what employers should know if hiring an employee. As for freelancer, I mean, that's B2B contract, probably the same way as anywhere, but the rates are higher. So if you are looking for a long-term commitment, building a team with loyalty, then I would definitely recommend to hire employees.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Really nice. Thank you so much for what you're doing and for what you shared, your valuable insights. Maybe is there something else related to your clients' experience you would like to share, like in relation to this?
I know. I would say that as time passes by, we see the traction is growing from Central and Western Europe, and also from US. And lately also from Asia, like from Singapore and Gulf countries as well. And we see that Georgia has this good brand awareness, being a stable country with a good growing economy and with trustful people. So I hope that this will go the same way, and people like you, me, and other people in the community will grow it more. So, I hope this country will be way better than it was in my childhood.
Thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you.
Likewise. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed our today's episode, and I'll see you next time. I will prepare some other interesting topics on what you should know when it comes to Georgia, some opportunities or investment opportunities here, and stay in touch. If there's some particular topic you would like to hear more about, please let me know in the comments or text me somewhere. I am Samuela Davidova. I'm the Liberland representative to Georgia and also the press secretary for the Globe. And I'm happy for what we are doing here and that we bring more awareness to Georgia. Thank you so much. Take care.